Hey, this is Rocket Brain Surgeon. Today we're looking at the importance of having a plan. We're following around Kraft Lawrence in two games. The first one is on Ruinberg, the second one is on Northwest. He wrote up a bit of what he was thinking. Link is in the comments. Go check it out. He's in the Leopard 1 Tier 10 German medium tank, and he's going city in Ruinberg. Now this is a little bit weird because the Leo has absolutely no armor and no reason why you would want to fight frontally against other heavies, which are going to be going into the city. However, the reason why he's doing this has a lot of logic to it. So when he loaded into the game, he noticed that the other team has a lot of mediums, and his team does not. That means that he knows he's not going to have a lot of teammates in the field to help him out. Normally with a medium you want to head into the F9, F0 area, and you want to play vision games and kind of peekaboo with the opponent over the ridge, spot for arty, so on and so forth. But the problem with that area is that it's more or less a numbers game. If the enemy has a lot of mediums there, you can get quickly overwhelmed and taken out of the game. So he knows that since the enemy has a ton of mediums, the mediums are going to head there just naturally, he's probably going to lose that area really fast. So he decides, instead of putting up a futile resistance in an area where he's just going to die immediately, he wants to help the area where he thinks he can make a difference, and he's just going to offer supporting fire in the town. A lot of people get the impression that because you're in a certain type of tank, that you're forced into a certain role in a certain place on the map, and that's just not true. For example, when I'm in a heavy, almost all my heavies have optics on them because I know I'm going to do some spotting work for the team at some point on a lot of maps. If I'm in a medium or a tank that is incredibly low HP, I know that sometimes I'm going to be asked to lead a push. I've led pushes in my Batchat, FCM, all the French tanks. Sometimes it's just imperative that you suck it up and do what needs to be done, no matter how crappy it's going to go for you. For example, there will be people yelling at you a lot that you need to go scout, you need to go scout. I've had people tell me that I need to go suicide because apparently that's the role. And it's like, no, I'm in a light tank, but what the team needs right now is not for me to suicide, but for me to get damage and have a possible flank situation later in the game. That's going to be more important than suiciding. And people disagree with it so vehemently that they've sometimes TK me. It's like, okay, well, whatever. So people have these really deep-set preconceived notions of what you should do, but there are a ton of situations like Kraft is showing here where yes, you have to suck up your pride, and yes, there are people berating him in chat saying, oh, the mediums should have gone field, stupid team, moron team. And it's like, if he would have gone field, the game would have looked exactly the same, except it would be 7-5 with Kraft dying too. That's all that would have changed. They would have rolled over him just like they rolled over everybody else in field. Moreover, you have to realize what is a threat and what is not a threat, and getting capped on Ruinberg is kind of hard to have happen because the cap is so open and it can be approached from multiple angles. If you have a cap zone that is more closed off and or harder to get to, then it's a little more risky to let the enemy take one side of the map and cap. But on maps like Steppes, the cap zone is completely open and approachable from every area. It's not the worst thing in the world to win your flank and then come back to cap to defend. So looking at the game situation, yeah, the red team absolutely won the field, but they're going to lose the game because City fell so hard so quickly. In that game, Kraft decided it's better to start an avalanche than to try to stop one. So he tried to add to the overall push in city and get the snowball rolling there, rather than stand in front of a mass coming at him in the field. Next up, we are on Northwest, and the key strategic theme of Northwest is the A2B1 area. If you control that area, then you can see down both the A line and the 1 line, and you can also view into the town. So you basically gain a lot of view range just by controlling a key square. Now, Kraft admits that he played this game relatively planless. He just wanted to make sure that he was in spots to get enough damage, but he did not have a clear strategic goal in mind. So, an Object 140 raced up into the A3 square, and he is going to get overwhelmed because Kraft is not there to help, both in HP trades and additional damage. On the surface, it's going to look relatively hopeless because even if he was there, what could he do? You see a couple other red tanks around, but that's kind of missing the point. Without that vision area, the whole map is just going to collapse really easily. Kraft is going to be able to put up 5k damage in this game, but you'll notice that it's a pretty useless 5k damage. Even though he's just shooting and hitting constantly, none of it matters because his teammates are getting rolled so hard. And I'm not saying it's all Kraft's fault. Frankly, if you go on the south bend on Northwest, that's just terrible. There's no other way to say it. Because the south corner, it's a C-tank, shoot-tank area where you're pushing into tanks that have cover and can see you from 500 meters away, and you're vulnerable to artillery, and it takes forever because you have to climb this massive hill to get to the cap, and then the cap is in an open area which is easy to shoot, again, from the 1 or 2 line. So capturing the 1 or 2 line far exceeds any other strategic goal on the map. Please God, do not go south. So his team has a lot to do with the loss because they're pushing into a J100 and an E100 in the south. That's just dumb. Kraft comes down here to do what he can. He had to leave. He either had to commit to the A2 square, which he chose not to, or he had to move away because they have vision control of the entire north and west of the map. There's no way he can survive there, so he had to move away. Also, he's going to get some shots at the enemy from here, and he's shooting pretty constantly and hitting fairly regularly, and again will put up big numbers, but they're down 1-6, and they're going to get flanked from the north. There's just not a lot you can do once the game starts slipping away like this. If Kraft would have gone to the north and committed A2, the most likely result is he would have died and would have done easily half the damage that he did. But he would have given his team a fighting chance. The north wouldn't have fallen, and the reason why the south push sucks so bad is because if you win the north, it's very easy to come back and defend cap from either side. You have cover when you're overlooking cap on tanks that don't have cover, and the whole process is really good. That's why I hate the south bend so much. There's no upside to it. You're pushing into tanks that can see you from forever away. You have to go up a massive hill into enemy that's behind cover and sit on a cap that's completely naked. I mean, there is no upside to that south corner. There are a bunch of areas in the game that have some high-risk, high-reward areas. For example, the hill on mines, scouting across the valley in El Haluf, the A2 corner here on Northwest, field scouting on Malinovka. These are some examples of areas or things to do where if you do them and they succeed, your chance to win the game has skyrocketed. If you ignore them, you have the opportunity to get into situations like this game where it does not matter how much damage you do, you're just going to lose. There's obviously the downside of going potato 1 minute into the game. However, the upside is very big and very real. Outright winning. Hope you enjoyed. Happy hunting.